My name's James Baum and welcome to the September 2021 update for TV Presenter for History, brought to you today from Newchurch in Culcheth, Cheshire. August was certainly a busy month with the writing, presenting and filming of two brand new episodes of Rambles Through History, and all enhanced with the use of 4K drone footage. My first new episode of Rambles Through History for August was entitled In Search of the 13th Baron of Warrington. Our journey began at his birthplace at Busey Old Hall, where Sir John was born in the year of 1429. Here in Warrington stands Busey Old Hall, a hall that's been derelict for 25 years and the scene of many planning battles. Now converted into luxurious apartments, it hides the fact that this hall has stood here, or a building of its type, since at least the 13th century. Prior to the 13th century, the site was actually a monastic grange before it was demolished to make way for the new hall. The hall was built by one William Fitz Almeric Butler in the 13th century. Welcome to Rambles Through History. Busey Old Hall was home to the Lords of Warrington from the 13th to the 17th centuries, and indeed in the year of 1617 the hall was visited by the first Stuart king, James I. Whilst Busey Old Hall is no longer accessible to the public due to becoming a private residence, today I've come here to take a look and see the birthplace of one Sir John Butler, 13th Baron of Warrington. Later in the film, I visited St Edith's church in Warrington to see the final resting place of Sir John Butler and his wife, Lady Margaret Gerard of Kingsley. Tombs and effigies were examined, and these were brought to life on film. Upon the death of Sir John Butler, his body was brought here to St Edith's church in Warrington for burial. His body was encased in a tomb, marked with a beautiful gypsum effigy. Well, it's here where my journey to find Sir John comes to its conclusion as we take a look inside at his tomb, a tomb carved with the effigies of Sir John himself and Lady Margaret Gerard. Well, what a great honour and a privilege to finally be stood here at the tomb of the 13th Baron of Warrington, for here is the final resting place of Sir John Butler and his wife Lady Margaret Gerard from Kingsley. My second new episode of Rambles Through History that was filmed in August was entitled St Edith and the Normans of Shocklach. We visited the site of an ancient church built by the Normans in 1150 AD. Standing between two mounds and placed in great isolation stands a church dedicated to Edith of Polesworth, who was once the sister of one Edward the Elder. Now this church can be found down a winding, lonely country lane, and that only adds to its isolation, but it was built by the lord of the manor to accompany his castle in 1150 AD and to serve the people of the village. Welcome to Rambles Through History. During the episode I told the story of two young children, John and Elizabeth, who had died of the plague in 1625. To this day, their bodies remain buried at St Edith in Shocklach. In the 17th century, St Edith was to become the burial place for victims of the plague of 1625. The church records include many entries about the burials of such people, but two stand out in particular. Now this particular entry within the registers relates to one John and Elizabeth Handley, two children who died and were buried here at St Edith's. But it's the beauty and the history inside St Edith's that goes on to tell us more about the ancient history and life during Norman times and beyond. No episode of Rambles Through History would be complete without me taking you inside this wonderful church to see the beautiful historical architecture and the artefacts that remain to this day from centuries past. Well, it's an absolute honour and a privilege to be able to walk through these doors today and show you the inside of this beautiful unspoilt 12th century church. As I enter the church, my eye is immediately drawn to the curved plaster ceiling of the nave, complete with the plaster rosettes. The round chancel arch is clearly medieval in date. On the west wall of the nave, we find the royal arms of King George III and dated to the year of 1760. Now August also saw the publication of my regular history column in Cheshire Life magazine, this month detailing the lives of the Mannering family of Overpeaver Hall. It also details the burials that took place in the church nearby, the Church of St Lawrence, and the Mannerings have been buried there since at least 1410 AD. Join me again soon as I bring you more history and wonderful stories from across Cheshire. My name's James Baum, TV presenter for history, bringing history to life.